Time to be empowered.
Some time has passed. You've been waiting for it, and now you're gonna get it. It is the Be-Mpowered podcast. My name is Simon Miller. I am joined by David Lynch. Before he's even allowed to say a word, I'd like to apologise for the massive delay between episodes. It's literally because I got a little gig back with a website you may know called videogamer.com. I've just been sort of tying up some loose ends there, here, everywhere, but now we're back. Be-Mpowered rolls on. Hashtag always believe. Mr. Lynch, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. To be honest, I'm glad you've been busy as well. It's been good to see you back with those VG guys. I've quite enjoyed watching those videos.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not. But we're not usually nice to each other, so I don't really understand.
And
is this real, or are you just taking the mick?
I don't know. Yeah, that's up to you.
Oh, cheers, mate. Appreciate it. No, but it has been good. You know, you never know what life's going to throw at you. So it just meant I need to take a few weeks off. But remember, obviously go to Video Gamer, but keep a check on my YouTube stuff, everything. It's back now, and we roll forward. We're well into 2015 now as well, Lynch. Like, we're knee deep in it. There's no going back.
We are. We've had some big AAA games come out. We've
had one big AAA game. Oh, I say that. Am I wrong? No, The Order came out. What else came out that was any good?
Evolve.
Okay, yep, it did.
So we're kind of like getting there now. And we just had GDC as well, so yeah.
Did you play The Order 1886?
I did not, because I watched you guys play it, and I was like,
what did you think about all the controversy? How did you? What was your reaction to it all?
I don't know. I see it. I look at this in two ways. It's like one part of me thinks, oh man, it's. I want a big game. I want to invest time. I want to get the most out of it. And then another part of me is like, well, when would I have that time as an adult with like responsibilities? I don't have that time.
Of course you do. It's only 5.5 hours long. That's
that's what I mean. It's either a criticism from where you are in your life. It's either a criticism or a good thing. And to be honest, I've got no problem with games being 5 hours long as they're really good. And it kind of was like on that border.
On that border of what? Of being good?
Of being like good, but not too long.
I don't know. I think if it had more, if it's more interactive, it was more of a game than an interactive experience. I think. I mean, I haven't played it. I played it all yet, but I think the best thing about it is that it created controversy. And while everyone can roll their eyes and say, "Oh no, you shouldn't say this," but it's the best that could have happened for it.
Yeah.
It got people talking, and I think a lot of people went, "Well, this is." Creating so much buzz, I've got to play it for myself. I need to know what I think about The Order 1886. And I don't think Sony could have asked for more than that.
No.
It was never going to come out to 9s and 10s and everyone's raving about it and get word of mouth that way.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it, you may as well, go the other, not negative press, so to speak, but just, buzz everybody up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's sold all right, isn't it? It's done quite well.
Well, who knows? I mean, getting number one, I think I could get a game to the chart at number one if I released it in a certain month. You just got to pick your month. I can't remember which game it was, but there was a game that came out. We were working on X360 magazine at the time, and it got to number one, and it only sold like 8,000 copies or something because it was just so dead. I can't remember what the hell it was.
Was that a Nintendo game or something?
I don't know. That's the whole point of my thing here was that I didn't know.
All right.
So yeah, I think I imagine. I don't know. A game comes out end of February, Sony PS4. I doubt it did as well as they hoped it would do. Considering it was once scheduled for an end-of-year release, I think maybe Sony saw the writing on the wall and thought, you know what, let's jump out of bed here.
Yeah, but again, that's like Sony being relatively smart, I would say. It's it's a quiet time of year. People have got disposable income. You got January out of the way now, and people are like, "Well, I'm looking for something to play again now."
No, that's true. Anyway, if you are a long-term listener to the Be-Mpowered podcast, the format is coming back. Don't get me wrong. We're still going to do the get some asshole on. They're going to talk.
Thanks, Miller.
They're going to pick a subject. We'll talk about 3 things. But as there's been a delay, as it's kind of, I just want to make sure we get back into the swing of things. We're just going to kind of, Dave and I are just going to have a chat. We've picked out 3 things we're going to chat about. The first of which is GDC, and more importantly than that, we're going to talk about the whole VR stuff. Because Lynch, you're pretty excited that Sony announced a release date for what is essentially their version of Oculus Rift.
Essentially, yeah. And I was a little part of me was like, "Oh, it's a year." I was hoping like September, November, basically to get the Christmas rush. And I was kind of hoping like I could be this Christmas 2015, I'd have that thing on my head. But as it stands now.
Okay, but why? Because we've been here before. Like, not to this level of technology, but years ago, virtual reality was going to be the next big thing in games. And then obviously here we are, however many years it is later, and it didn't take off at all. Now, Oculus Rift has kind of spiked this interest. Sony have seen a market for it. So have Microsoft, they're all getting involved. Microsoft slightly differently, but we'll get there. Why now? What have you used either an Oculus Rift or I don't know if Sony's ever shown off their stuff. I'm sure it has.
No, I've used an Oculus Rift, and the thing that I think what's getting people really excited about the Sony stuff is the fact that it's the resolution of the technology and the sort of the power that they're able to pump into it. Because the big thing with Oculus Rift is like it's immersive. As soon as you put it on, you think, "Wow, this is really cool," and then your eyes adjust, and you kind of think, "Actually, this resolution's terrible." It kind of jars. The immersion factor drops almost immediately. You think, "Actually, the concept's there, but the technology isn't quite there yet." But this Sony stuff looks really quite impressive, and it's going to be really interesting. But in terms of you talk about VR, I almost think of this as akin to the 3D movement in cinema, because that's had a long-standing history as well. You can go back to the 50s, and they've got 3D cinema and all those gimmicks in the theatre with spraying water at people at scary moments and stuff like that. It's kind of one of those. Is
this what your part-time job is at the moment? You kind of just sneak into cinemas and chuck buckets of water over people.
Man, I got one of those unlimited cards. I go whenever I want.
Oh my, you're so cool, Lynch.
I know.
But I think what you've just done there is we all remember going to the cinema and you wear your stupid, was it red and blue, green and blue glasses? And now we've got to the point where you wear shades you got from Specsavers. But obviously 3D is making a lot of money, but it hasn't changed movies.
No.
It's not like every movie's now is so good that we have to jump on board. It wasn't an evolution for movies; it was a fun gimmick. And I'd also say, maybe this is jumping the gun a bit, but I would say we've already passed it now. Less movies are coming out now with 3D. A 3D capability. People do not see the kind of the return to justify filming something in 3D.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that, and this is where the interesting aspect of this sort of whole VR movement lies. Is it just a gimmick, or is it going to be an actual change into the way we see games and the way we interact with them? Now, the potential is there for a bit of both, but I don't know if you're the same as me at the moment in terms of how you play your games. I like my games now with the PS4. I'm really enjoying it, but I have to say, since the last gen ended, I have felt a bit of a disconnect in terms of what I get out of games. And I really do want something new, and I feel like VR could be that thing to to pull me back in and kind of go, this really is the best entertainment medium out there right now, and VR is the best way to view games, essentially.
Okay, so let's maybe not the order. Let's take. I'm trying to think of something that's more exciting than that. Let's say Call of Duty. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but
what about Uncharted?
Okay, Uncharted 4, right? Uncharted 4 comes out. I doubt. Maybe it will happen. Actually, it may actually come out using that. I don't know, but let's say that it does, or a version comes out. Say it comes out day and date. And the one with the virtual reality headset costs you. Obviously, going to cost you more because you've got to buy into more hardware.
Yeah.
Are you going to buy the Uncharted non-VR version or the VR version? Day one comes out, you don't own the VR headset. Are you going to spend an extra 300 quid or whatever to get that experience? Because I don't think you will. I don't think that Uncharted. You played Uncharted. You played 3 Uncharted games. You know what you're going to get. Even if this is the best one of the bunch, I don't think anyone's ever sat there and played an Uncharted game and gone, well, this should be in VR. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that means that the things that are going to win it over are new experiences. And is it going to be something like a Kinect or a Move, where it's just gimmicks and mini games and things that feel like they're being, shoehorned into an experience that didn't need it to begin with?
Obviously, there's that potential, and I think the important thing you have to remember with content like this, and it's when hardware is that this is essentially a new launch. This is you have to treat it like a new console launch in many ways. You're right, it does have to have that killer app, and it has to have the promise and the potential to move forward and have those experiences grow and expand and change. And it's like when Kinect came out and we looked at it and we thought, okay, there's some interesting ideas here, but really it will take the creative minds of everyone out there to in the development scene to make it work. And obviously it didn't happen because it just didn't, because either the ideas weren't there or the technology wasn't quite up to snuff. So it kind of stumbled and fell apart. You ended up with things like that. Was it Rise of Nightmares, that Sega game?
Well, there you go. That was come from a reputable studio that apparently had a lot of money, poured into it.
Yeah.
And where is it now? It's nothing. It was a game designed for a gimmick that didn't last, so the game died with it. Whereas you could argue if they just made a third-person survival horror game, I doubt it's not going to have any buzz now, but it may have been more relevant than it is. It's dead now. It's been shot, taken out back and killed.
Well, this is the danger of any hardware. It has to be supported by the software, and it has to be supported by interesting people doing interesting things with it. And I just feel like VR, we've got to a point now where visual fidelity is such that we're resolution is such an important aspect now in terms of having that tangible touch. When you look at those LCD screens, and everything looks pin sharp and fantastic, and you really need to have one of those to get the most out of games now. But to have that jump and to put yourself in the world for certain. And you have to look at like the first-person genre is the most popular genre out there, so that's straight into VR, and that works perfectly for it. And I just feel like there are ideas here which the industry hasn't really explored yet, and I think there's a huge amount of potential. And I kind of hope that it's we see this innovation here. But I mean, you're right, because it's stuck with the same stigma as essentially with 3D TVs and that, because who wants to put that thing on their head and become sort of insulated and isolated from the people in the living room? That's not a great move. But
I think there's a bigger sort of what's the word? Milestones wrong with it. A bigger impact here as well is because how on earth there are some games that are going to be really difficult to play in that space. Like I've used an Oculus Rift once. I played some terrible, I think it was a CMP, not CMP. What's that terrible company called that makes nothing but awful space sim games? I don't know. Anyway, I think it's something like CMP. I think CMP is actually like a bodybuilding company. But either way, and I played one of those games. And it was the most low budget Oculus Rift thing you could imagine. But I loved it. I loved it. Like you say, the gimmick was...
Well, it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting.
It was exciting. And I was like, this is really cool. I could see myself playing a game that, like you say, has a better resolution, has more production values than this. So I don't feel... because after 5 minutes, I'm just getting a headache now because it's so bad. But then where's the fine line? Because, say, Silent Hills comes out in VR... people are going to die. No, I'm serious. You will trigger heart attacks and people will die, and then games are going to be like, yeah, we're killing motherfuckers everywhere. So I don't know. This is what I mean by what experience...
I don't think that's a danger, to be honest. I think that's
it is a danger. People die watching scary... Old women drop dead in the cinema watching scary films. And
who are old women to go to see scary films? And why? I've never seen a news story, never heard of it. I'm sure it happens, but it's not going to be a huge influence. People aren't just going to drop dead playing Silent Hills because you found it frightening.
You don't know that. If the virtual reality experience is to such a high level that you can trick your brain into thinking it's real, that means everything that comes in reality is real with it as well. And that means I genuinely believe, I don't care, I genuinely believe that there is a problem that Oculus Rifts kill people, become fucking serial killer on this shit.
Well, this is the thing in terms of technology and the way we view it, because I can't remember this is like a famous saying, and I can't remember who said it, but if people can want to link in the comments and that about this, but it's technology that you grow up with is something that you completely understand and you're comfortable with and you understand how it works, and as soon as you reach a certain age, I'm thinking it's over 30-ish towards 40, anything new that happens is frightening and you don't quite understand it. And I feel like you're borderline with this whole VR thing. I feel like you're a little bit frightened of it.
I'm not frightened of it at all. I think it's really exciting. I'm just saying I think that's an issue that people are ignoring. I'm up for any kind of gimmick in to be introduced to video games, as long as it's not introduced like... I guess the Move would be the one for me that really felt like someone just trying to rush something to market in order to...
Well, they all did that. The pressure from Nintendo and the Wii and the success that had.
That's true, but Kinect felt like... I mean, I still hate Kinect. I think Kinect's a joke. It was embarrassment. But I still think Kinect felt like more of an idea to integrate it into the console experience, whereas Move felt like, let's just copy what that they've done, because they were really successful with it. So I would love Sony to do great things with it and to introduce... I mean, I think we can all agree now, you're never going to change the whole pad in your hand looking at a screen thing. That's in now,
Yeah, that's
it's not going to change. But if you could sort of, splinter that a little bit and say, well, there are some games you can, use this headset for and you get this whole new experience, I'd be well up for that. I'm just saying I'm not 100% sure at a point now where people are going to get it 100% right, and that some motherfuckers may die. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Well, to be honest, I feel like we're ignoring the Microsoft component to this whole thing, because while Sony has this Morpheus and the VR headset, and it's going very much the virtual reality route, Microsoft isn't doing that, and I don't think anyone's really picked up on the fact... Well, anyone's really explored the idea of what the differences of what they're doing with this whole HoloLens thing, because obviously that's incorporating holographic technology with a headpiece, obviously, into your living room and your space. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like my flat, but when I play games, I kind of want to get out of there. I don't really want to look around and see, like, the dishes in the corner or my clothes on the floor and have games run around on that. And I think the differences between the VR experience and the HoloLens experience are so vast that we're going to have two completely different infrastructures here in terms of what they can offer.
Yes, I think that's a good thing as well, because I don't want to be another situation where it's like... I think it'd be awesome if Sony could say, you got a PS4, we've got this VR headset, can't get that on Wii, or Wii U, can't get on Xbox One. This is our thing. And Microsoft just say, that's cool. We're not investing in that. We're doing this thing. It makes the consoles, which have just become like, who do you prefer, Microsoft or Sony? And then a few exclusives on top. It makes them feel unique and like they're trying to offer something different. And again, that's what I think Kinect was trying to do. Failed miserably. As for what, we'll call it the sort of next step from Kinect. No, I agree with you. I don't really need things coming out of my television and changing the colours and... I mean, what does it bring me? What do I get from it? What's the, again, what games am I playing where I'm going, and I understand I have to, play it first. I have to, to see how it affects me. But from a concept point of view, I'm not missing that. That's never been something I felt like. No, exactly.
I never thought, I wish those characters would run over my crappy looking sofa.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't see. It's like it's one of those things that Microsoft does very well because it looks great in concept videos because the person they've got there is a model or an actor, fairly attractive, and in the best, coolest looking flat you can imagine that's clean and it's got trendy artwork on the walls and is the best version of your imaginary self you can imagine. But I don't, no one lives in that world, and I just feel like there's something slightly depressing about having these characters run around a small flat. It's just that and that's my world, granted. But I can imagine a lot of people who are into these things are kind of in a similar situation. It's not going to be like a kid's bedroom with like a bunk bed or something. It's like I don't see the appeal here.
No, I don't. But I do like the fact that it's going in different directions. But as I said this the other day to someone, it's not going to work until it's the holodeck. That's what we need until you go into a room and you don't have to put anything on your head and you don't have to connect anything. You just go into a room and there you are. You're in a vast abyss, a vast space, and you can do whatever you want after hitting some keys on a pad. That's what people want from, be it because of Star Trek or not, that's what people want. So until we get there, I think there's always going to be some... And we're never going to get there. I don't think that's ever going to exist. People go, oh, you don't know that. Well, no, I don't know that. But I don't think...
Not in our lifetime anyway. So
well, no, maybe
it's
not.
It's pointless arguing.
Probably just before the sun blows up. So yeah, I don't necessarily... I mean, if someone said which one interests you more, I would definitely lean towards... Sony's going with the more typical put something on your head and play a game experience.
It's an easier concept to understand how games can benefit from that as well. I can see like you say with like Silent Hill, like a first person horror game or a racing game or a flying game or an action game. It's just like I get that.
No, I think I'm intrigued to see what happens, and because at the moment Sony have announced this is probably where you're going to be able to get this thing. But they haven't said what you'll be able to do on it. And I think that's key. I think that shows maybe a lack of confidence. Because if they did say Uncharted comes out this November, 50 quid, and also comes out next February on your VR machine, I think then people go, they are taking this shit seriously. Because the amount of extra money that's going to have to go into development of Uncharted and time, that's a risky balance to try and make. So I'd like to point out, everyone go to Microsoft.com/Microsoft-HoloLens and watch this video. Absolute crap. It does not work like this. The world that Microsoft is creating it's not real.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
This is from 2092. Oh, he's playing Minecraft now. Fuck off, Microsoft.
This is the thing. I can't buy into the concept when it's so carefully orchestrated and presented, like the initial Kinect reveal when they had the kids on stage jumping with the animals and stuff. Like if it looks too good to be true, it's probably because it is, and it's just I can't buy into that concept. It's too far. It's too far ahead, and I know the technology's not there.
No.
You just know it. It's just not going to work.
What else have you been playing, Lynch? In the world of games, what else has been taking your attention? I already know what you're going to say, but I'm going to let you say it anyway.
What? Tell me what
you're
going to
say. You're still playing Alien.
Oh, I restarted Alien on...
Why are you restarting it?
Because I want to play it on the Nightmare difficulty they released.
Have you finished it now then?
Oh, yeah, I finished it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so turn down now if you don't want Alien Isolation spoilers. But I want to talk to you. What did you think about them killing one alien and then introducing another one halfway through the game?
Another one, like another 5.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, but the whole point was they said, it's going to be one alien, and then it was like, no, it's not.
I thought it was a good twist.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay, why?
Because I felt like it was a twist they don't think anyone's expecting because they made such a big storm about how like there was the one alien and it was all dangerous and you have to really focus on that one thing. And I thought, and when it went, there was such a sense of relief in the game. I was like, oh man, I wonder what's going to happen now. And then obviously you go through a big chunk of it's like a good 2 hours or 3 hours or so where there's no alien. And then it feels like it comes out of nowhere and you think, shit, there's another alien. And then you see another and you're like, oh, damn. It's just like, it ups the ante, and I really, really liked it. And it kind of, that game starts out alien, it ends almost aliens. It's like a little twist, and I like that because they're in the same world, those those two films, and I like both of them for their own things, and I felt like that was a really good, clever acknowledgement of that fact.
Okay, so now you've come to the end of it. What would you like to see next? Do you want to see Alien Isolation 2, or would you rather see them get another license? And so, which part of the name do you kind of want them to focus on? Do you want them to focus on the Alien part, or do you want to focus on the Isolation part? Because I think there's a lot of other licenses that would benefit massively if they kind of,
I agree, but I like Alien too much. I'm always interested in seeing more stories in that world.
But
So
what would they do with the sequel that they haven't already done? Like, what could they possibly do to make it feel as impactful or as worthwhile as this one?
I don't know. I would say it's one of the things where it needs to go away and gestate for like a good 2-3 years.
That never happened though. This is
I know
not,
they want to
not in the video game world in 2015.
Sega are in a little bit of trouble at the moment though. They're kind of struggling, aren't they?
Well, who knows? According to the internet, it is, but that doesn't mean anything nowadays.
That's true.
I would just. I don't know. I think of an Alien Isolation, it's one of those games that, like, again, going back to The Order is one of those games that you play and you think, you know what, if they did a sequel, they'd probably get a lot more right than they have here.
Yeah.
Whereas Alien Isolation, I think, is the other way around. I think there's stuff they could have actually left out of Alien Isolation. It could have been a lot shorter for one, and the game would have been better. When I think about what they could do for a sequel, I was like, there's nothing you can do other than, like I say, Jurassic Park Isolation, which is the game that everybody wants.
We've had Trespasser, Simon.
That's not Jurassic Park Isolation. I mean, I want official Jurassic World Isolation. That's what I want. Tie it into the film. Show everybody how to do film ties in 2015 and live the dream.
Yeah. I mean, I like the isolation part of it. I thought, it felt such a right fit for that world. And I think you are right. There is some scope for it to grow, and it would be interesting to see the world through those eyes. What else could you do? Like, I suppose we've got a lot of horror games coming out with the first person perspective. I feel like this new gen will be where first person you start seeing different things with first persons. I mean, we have COD and Battlefield and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, there are a few genres now out there which have sort of splintered off from the whole first person bit. I think the most important thing now is not having a gun in front of you.
You think that's the most important thing, is not having a gun in front of you?
Yeah, in a first-person game, yeah.
You go tell that to Activision. They won't agree with you at all.
No,
I think you're crazy.
I know they won't, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I mean, I hope they do another game, another Alien. Maybe they could tie into the new Blomkamp movie, which I'm never going to talk about in a bit anyway.
Well, you can talk about it right now, as you've just magnificently segued into it.
It's good, wasn't it?
So let me get this straight. This is what I've picked up, and I haven't really researched it, but I'm going to go on what I seem to have picked up just by looking at the internet. Blomkamp is making a new Aliens movie. It completely ignores the last two Alien films. Yeah. It starts after Aliens. Is that right? I think it takes Alien 3's gone as well. And it picks up where that has left off, or is it 100 years later? I mean, it won't be 100 years later, not Weaver in it, but...
Yeah, so it's going to be... that time frame isn't quite secured yet. They haven't really let too much about that, though. But the two... I mean, both actors have been sort of rumoured to be attached. That's Sigourney Weaver and Michael Biehn. And so both of them are... Obviously, they're older people now because it's been like 30 years. So I would say that time frame is a realistic one to think about. That would make their physical appearance logical in that world. So maybe 30 years has gone by. And it's going to be interesting, and the aspect of, what's changed in the world now. Because one of the things that James Cameron always kind of hinted at towards that he was thinking about for a sequel to Aliens was the fact that you had... Sigourney, Michael Biehn, and Newt as a family unit, and the subtext running throughout Aliens is this whole relationship with mothers and daughters and family, and sort of passing your genetic line down. The kind of like the way that the Queen mirrors Ripley, and the fighting the young, and the blasting of all the alien eggs and stuff like that. There's a lot of weird sort of subtext going through there, and in fact, there's a couple of shots where James Cameron sort of set it up so you see Ripley and Michael Biehn and Newt all together in a single shot, and they're quite lingering shots for a film that's quite a fast action movie. So there's sort of like this weird subtext going on there, and I think there's a possibility that might be a jumping off point for what Blomkamp wants to do. Right. And obviously he's a huge Alien fan from all the films, in fact, and he's talking about sort of like the corporate stuff, the corporate elements, a lot of stuff that you see in Alien Isolation, which I thought the Creative Assembly handled really, really well. Was the sort of the corporate nature of what the Weyland-Yutani want to do with the alien, and sort of, I felt they were personified perfectly in those Working Joe droids. I thought they were really, really well sort of characterized in that. Also being quite terrifying, instead of having like a Ian Holm Alien, where you kind of trust him and then he turns out to be a bad guy. We all saw something like that coming, but the working Joes are really good. I can see I don't think getting rid of Alien 3 and Resurrection necessarily a bad thing, but it jars with people's...
It convolutes it. It's also like an easy way out as well. I think I would have much preferred to... And again, you could argue it's a form of entertainment, so first and foremost, you should probably try and aim for that. But I would have preferred it if someone had... if you found yourself in a position where you don't think the license... can tell any more stories because of what you've already told. Maybe you shouldn't be making another movie.
Well, this is it, yeah.
So, but do you think he's the right man for the job? I haven't seen that many of his movies.
I've got a lot of time for Neil Blomkamp. I've watched his career since he released that Alive in Joburg shorts on YouTube about 5-6 years ago.
And then got signed up to do the ill-fated Halo movie.
Yeah, he got signed up to do that and had quite a strong relationship with Peter Jackson. I think he worked on the Halo movie for a good few years. He ploughed a bunch of his time into it. And, I can't imagine just doing one thing for years and years and years and then having to make the decision going, you know what, I've got to walk away from this because it's either not going to happen or it's going to ruin me in the process. That's a tough call. Yeah. But he did that, and then District 9 came out, and then he went on to do Elysium, which I thought was not a great film. It's got a lot of really great ideas, and it's essentially the script is what's the issue with that film. It's like it's not finished. Essentially, it's got a lot of ideas sort of on the surface, and they're good ideas. The fact that you have this sort of rich society up in on this planetoid thing, Elysium, above a dying Earth, and it's the 99% in versus the rest, versus the 1%, and that's all fascinating, and his visual look is fantastic in the film. But like I said, the story in the script falls apart completely, and it doesn't feel finished. But he's kind of already acknowledged that, and I think he's a better filmmaker than that. And I think District 9 is really, really good. And I think he's one of the more interesting people working on sci-fi at the moment. I feel like we've got this 80s nostalgia resurgence of what good sci-fi can be, and he's at the forefront, I would say.
Do you think? Would you? Well, I think this is obviously an obvious question, but do you think this is the biggest kind of task he's taking on to date?
Yeah, I would say that. And
with that in mind, then you could say he's going to get a lot more. His budget's going to be a lot higher as well, but with that comes a sort of greater expectation with it.
Yeah,
and also this is a film that people. When was the last one? 20 years ago? Or maybe I'm exaggerating.
Resurrection, 1997.
Yeah, almost 20 years ago then, essentially 18 years ago.
So, we've had Prometheus as well. That's got to come into it at some point.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is coming after Prometheus 2, which comes out this year or next year?
No, I don't think.
I thought Prometheus 2 was soon. Am I making that up?
No, not soon. They haven't even got a script locked down for that yet.
Oh, right. So, okay. Well,
that's a while away yet.
Okay, but my point being is that, you take this step up, and no matter what you've done, but it doesn't matter what. Look at take video games into the equation. You can. I mean, Ready at Dawn, man. This is like the Order 1886 Sub-10 postcard. But you take Ready at Dawn, who made all these great little ports of things for, God of War, for the PS Vita, and this other. And people, they're so great, they're so great. They make their first proper game, expectation-wise, everyone goes, you fucking assholes, you screwed us over. And he's in the same position. Like Aliens, I know you, and I know Stephen W. Burns, and I know how you both react to this franchise as if it didn't exist, you both drop dead.
Yeah.
So, and I know you like the guy, but if he doesn't deliver, it could affect his career. I mean, it really, really could.
Oh, God, it totally could. But I think when you're talking about films, you're talking about this sum of money, and you're talking about creative visionaries. I mean, like Ridley Scott, he was the sort of guy who walked into Brandywine back in the 70s, after spending a week with the script, and he drew all the storyboards himself and concept arted everything. This is before they brought on Ron Cobb and everybody else, but he took a huge pad in there and said, look, this is what I want to do with the film, and they dropped another $1 million on him there and then, just to sort of go, all right, go make that happen. You need creative visionaries like this to take those risks, and I feel like the Alien franchise is in a position now where, yes, it's got this nostalgia value, yes, people love it, but they loved it 30 years ago. It was amazing then. Everyone looked at Resurrection, and to an extent Alien 3, which I don't think is the worst film ever, but clearly the issues on that film were just incredible. The documentary on the Blu-ray is so worth a watch, because you see all the iterations that script went through, and like they said, they set out to make a release date, and then instead of making a film, and it's just fascinating to watch that whole process fall apart. But I feel like the Alien franchise is in a position now when Prometheus doesn't really impact it, really, and you've got someone who can take creative risks, and I feel like if you put somebody in that position, and he is the sort of person who can look at something and kind of go, I can't see the world from his viewpoint, but I know what he will do with it will be really interesting. And if you give him a script and you give him the creative time and resources to do something, he'll do something fascinating and be really interesting. And all he did was release that concept art. It was like 5 images of artwork, and everyone went mental.
Does it need Sigourney Weaver? There you go. There's a Paxman question for you. Because she may not necessarily want to do it. She may think, I'm old, I'm past it.
She's already shown interest because they just finished Chappie together, didn't they?
Yeah, but you say that now. Until those hardcore contract negotiations start, Lynch, nothing is set in stone.
That's true. I do.
So let's say she's not in it. Does that affect the Aliens comeback movie?
Well, it certainly affects the initial timeline that we were all sort of speculating about, which is like, after Aliens. I mean, realistically, why couldn't you have it if you don't need Sigourney Weaver? Let's just set it after Alien 3 and go from there. I mean, a Resurrection set 200 years, 300 years in the future? It's a ridiculous amount of time into the future. Alien Resurrection is fascinating because Weyland Yutani doesn't exist. It's this weird US corporation. The Earth is a husk and a shell, doesn't really exist. And you've got this... It's the setup in that film is incredible because you've got this sort of human society spread out across the stars, and yet the film still focuses on this evil military research vessel. It's so bizarre, that movie.
But now it's dead. Don't have to worry about it anymore. It's no longer law, Lynch. That film has been taken out of the canon now. It's basically fan fiction. It's basically some little fan fiction that somehow managed to make its way to cinemas. That's all that is now.
Well, this
That's
is
what
me.
that movie's been reduced to.
But people, once they get over the initial shock, how are people reacting to the whole Star Wars thing? I mean, that's like 30 years worth of books, novels, games, expanded fiction, all just sort of gone, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I mean, Star Wars kind of ruined itself as well. With obviously, we're going to start again. We were going to do that Star Wars podcast. It never happened.
Oh yeah, we should do.
Well,
that.
we still will do it. But as a touch upon it now, Star Wars' biggest problem, I think the difference is it was killed by its creator. But it's true though. So everyone was like,
George Lucas smothered it with an Anakin Skywalker pillow.
Pillow, exactly. But it's true. But that kind of changes it a bit because it's if that's his vision for it, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because without his original vision, you never would have got Star Wars anyway. So you're like, okay, you created this thing and you got 50% of it really right and you got 50% of it really wrong. Although I stand by the fact that I think the third movie, as in if you're looking at it chronologically. No, not chronologically. Fucking Star Wars 3. I think Star Wars 3 is actually... Episode 3 is actually... It's not a great movie, but it's more entertaining than the other two.
Oh, yeah. It's the best of the prequels by a long way, but even then, I still say that's not saying much.
No, it's not. But I mean, so people can go, George Lucas, you're a fucking asshole. But then someone can always go, yeah, but he did make the first 3. And you're like, yeah, that's true.
Right, yeah, okay. But then if you're going to get into proper territory with this, you can say, yes, he made the first one. And if you look at the editing style and the story and everything in that film, it's revolutionary for the time. But you look at the way he tells a story, it's pretty basic.
Yeah, that's true.
Irving Kershner directing the Empire Strikes Back, undoubtedly remember of all of the Star Wars films.
Yes, it is. And
George Lucas is basically on script duty, but they got somebody else to write the script. I can't remember the guy's name, but he came on. He was he went on to write the was it David Cope? He went on to write Jurassic Park and some of the Indiana Jones films, but it's basically George Lucas went, here's the basic outline of the film, go and do it, and he was there on as an advisory.
I think George Lucas went, look, Darth Vader's his dad, you sort the rest of it out. What do you mean, George? Just figure out a way that he's his dad. Do you have a plan? No, that's just go make it happen. No, that's very, very true. And he did, you're right, he pawned it off to other people. It was a smart move because maybe he knew his limitations.
And even Empire, the last one called, I can't remember, the Return of the Jedi. That was directed by a Welsh guy.
Is you just throwing that in there because you're Welsh? You just want to give a quick... Okay, right.
And I can't remember his name because no one remembers his name.
Did his Welsh heritage help with the film?
Well, we have a bit of a strong connection with Star Wars in Wales. Did you see that BBC ran a story last week about the original Millennium Falcon got built down in Fishguard? No, it went in West Wales.
Even if I'd seen that headline, I wouldn't have clicked it because there's nothing of interest there.
I'll send it to you.
It's one of those stories where you just need to look at the headline. What else could they possibly tell you? Just rewrite it. Actually, while we're here as well, I'm not 100% sure I believe this, but as I'm thinking about it, I'd have to sit down and watch them. But I think I prefer episode 3 to episode 6. I think Return of the Jedi is a very long, boring movie with a horrible, horrible Hollywood ending, which I didn't ever really not appreciate because I don't want to appreciate. I don't think it's an ending that it should be appreciated.
I would say they're very, very close together.
Yeah, because I mean, what's his face? Hayden Christensen ruins the original 3 Star Wars movies, or the latter 2 anyway.
But even you look at like Ewan McGregor, and I like Ewan McGregor. He's a great actor.
Oh, he's terrible in that movie.
He can't act in those either.
I don't know whether he was just told to take the piss, or I don't know whether he had about 8 different people saying, look, your accent needs to change a bit. But he's just the most inconsistent performance I've ever seen. At least Hayden Christensen's just bad throughout. It's okay, you've turned Darth Vader into a sullen little boy. But Ewan McGregor is like a drunk man. If you had told me he was a drunk American man trying to be a British lord, I'd go like, right, I've got it. I see what you're coming from. But he's a British dude trying to play a British dude. So it's like, I don't understand how we've got here. So that's the problem. Miscasting ruins those films. But at least the third one has a bit of an edge, and it's kind of cool, seeing all the Darth Vader stuff happen for the first time. Whereas the last one is just so, there's some fucking kids in bear suits, in it. But what else happens? What happens in the last movie other than we blew up and killed everybody? At the very end?
The thing is with the last one is like, remember the first film? Here's the same plot. It's the same thing.
Exactly. It's such a bad movie. Like I would never.
Death Star 2.0. It's like, here it is again, and yeah,
it's true. Like I'm saying these things without really thinking them through. That's kind of how
that's like your thing, isn't it?
Well, it's true. I actually totally believe, right? If we go Star Wars 4, The New Hope, and Star Wars 6, I actually think I'd probably watch. I'd be less inclined to watch them than I would watch Episode 3 if it was on TV. If I went upstairs right now, and those 3 movies on TV, I'd watch Episode 3 over Episode 1 or Episode 6. I know killed for this, but I genuinely think that's true.
I think the nostalgia value would put me towards the other 2.
But the first movie is really boring.
It's not boring.
It is boring. It takes a long time, and I like Star Wars. For anybody listening, I love most of the films apart from 1 and 2, which I genuinely think are terrible. Especially 2, which is it should be called Political Simulator.
Oh god, the second film is the worst thing ever.
But I genuinely think that I don't necessarily think 4 and 6 are out of this world good. I think Empire Strikes Back is wonderful, and I think that
Empire Strikes Back is one of the best films ever made.
It is. The dark twist they put in that, and the kind of the storytelling and the way they wrap it up is phenomenal. Whereas I think the first one is just like a cute space movie, and the 6th one is just let's just wrap things up as soon as we can because we want to make some money. Although it does have what's the name of the guy that plays the Emperor? The actor's name. Anyway, that guy.
Oh, damn you.
It does have. All right, geez. It does have that guy who's just gone, you know what? It's like he does in the 3rd film as well. I'm just going to have loads of fun. Yeah. I'm not really going to play this seriously at all, but, you have fun because he's having fun. I would say, here we go. This is going to cause people to go nuts. I think the best Star Wars experience you could have is Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, God.
What do you mean? Don't. That's a brilliant game. It's 10 out of 10.
It is a brilliant game, but come on.
That and Empire Strikes Back. There you go. I would rather do one of those 2 than any other of the Star Wars things.
Okay. What about Battlefront? What if they did Battlefront with VR next year? Oh, my God.
That would be good. Is this year Battlefront?
Yeah, it is this year, but with the VR.
No, I'm very excited about Battlefront because I know what DICE can do, and Star Wars is a great license when you get it right, hence KOTOR. But the thing is, at the moment, is that Battlefield 4 was a little bit of a misstep for DICE.
Little bit.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. But they're usually very consistent. And even Bad Company 2, which was, the first Bad Company more so, was kind of technically a bit dodgy, but it worked, it was good, and the concept was solid.
Yeah.
Battlefield 4 is the first kind of dent in that armour. And now, and don't forget, people are working on Mirror's Edge 2 as well, which it has to be good. Can make that fucking game good. Battlefront has a lot to live up to. And DICE are definitely the people to do it, and I think they will. But I also think it's going to be very intriguing to see, when they start marketing it, how they do it, and how it actually plays out. I think will be fascinating. And I think there's a huge weight on DICE's shoulders.
How do we get to Star Wars? We're talking about Alien.
That's what we do. I compared George Lucas to, I don't know. We just did get there. You didn't even...
I wanted to talk about aliens.
Well, I decided that we didn't want to do that, and we just shifted the conversation aside. Hey, it's about big franchises. And, Jurassic World's coming out soon as well, watch. And I watched the second trailer for that. I still think it looks like a fun movie.
It does look
fun. And anyone that thinks... It just looks dumb. And Chris Pratt's obviously like, yeah, who gives a shit, right? I'm going to team up with some raptors.
Chris Pratt, and it's like when... That whole training thing with the dinosaurs. I mean, like I said, I stand by what I said before on this podcast, and that is... You can't have a dinosaur that's a Frankenstein dinosaur because as soon as you do that, it stops being a dinosaur and it stops being interesting because that wasn't a creature that existed in reality. It becomes a monster. But
Lynch, you have just made the #1 faux pas you're not allowed to make on the Be-Mpowered podcast.
What's that?
You called it when you said Frankenstein monster, what were you referring to?
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, Dr. Frankenstein.
Thank you. I can't stand it. If you want to hear how fucking pedantic I can be as a human being, the monster was not called Frankenstein. That was the creator. It really
Didn't I say Frankenstein's monster?
I did not hear an apostrophe S. I did not hear
I was rushing. Oh yeah, okay. I agree with you because that is a pet peeve of mine also. Yeah,
pretentious assholes.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Yes,
but yeah.
You're saying that takes it out of... But what are you saying? Are you saying that takes it out of the realms of reality? Because it's a movie about dinosaurs. Like, it's not...
I know.
This is my problem with it.
You have to... Jurassic Park is a film from a child's perspective. Children love dinosaurs, and we love them because they are fascinating, they are huge creatures, and we know that science tells us that they lived, billions of years ago. That's fascinating. They actually existed. They were walking around on this planet when we were, long before we were here. That's interesting. That fucking thing with those weird arms never existed. I don't give a shit about that. Yeah. There are fucking hundreds of dinosaurs. Show me some real ones.
No, because some of them are crap, though. Let's face it. Some of them are really crap. Yeah, some of them are well pathetic. It's like you should be called like budget dinosaur.
The Velociraptor is a great creature because, and this is the thing with the first Jurassic Park is the Velociraptor there's some poetic license in there. That creature wasn't actually that big. It was actually slightly smaller than a man. The Velociraptor. The actual creature that they have in the film is somewhere between a Velociraptor and something called a Deinonychus, which was about 2 meters taller than what the Velociraptors are. It was actually a pretty hefty thing, somewhere just below what an Allosaurus was. Which, if you're looking for a reference point, is slightly smaller than a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So it's a big creature, but it wasn't what the film presented.
Yeah, but again,
Velociraptor's a better name. Because it's got raptor, and it's not Deinonychus, which has got a weird spelling.
Go watch documentary. This is my point. It's a movie. They're trying to make it fun. You mentioned kids.
Right.
Kids love making shit up. They love having imagination. They love going, if I had a dinosaur, it would have 9 legs. Be like, yeah, it'd be amazing. So, that is surely...
I would say, the science there is that when having grown up loving dinosaurs, you like them because it's factual. It's a fact thing. They existed. They were like this. That's interesting.
I agree with you. I would, but the thing is, I'd be happy for Jurassic World to take a serious sort of approach, and I'm more than happy for them to... Lynch, the trailer starts off with, dinosaurs doing tricks in a pool, like they're dolphins. This isn't... it's difficult to then say, well, I'm fine with that, but I'm not fine with the fact they've made up a dinosaur.
But it's part of the world's verisimilitude. Yeah, I used that word.
Oh, man. Look at you just trying to dish out your intelligence.
It's part of it maintains the concept and the context. It works because it's a theme park. We have animals in theme parks doing that shit now, and that's an interesting look at what that park could have become. But as soon as you put something in there that's not real, you change it. It's something else then, and that's what I don't like with that film, and that's why I'm going to have issues with it. I'll probably quite enjoy it, but I will always be going, that thing's not real.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how the hell we've got to Jurassic World now, but we have. I think we're kind of repeating what we said. It's lazy or amazing.
No, it's amazing.
All right. But I do think I'm happy right now when it's based on trailers and it is a film about a dinosaur theme park to go, you know what, I'll wait and see what they do with it. I think the fact they cast Chris Pratt says a lot. He's not really Sam Neill, is he? It's a little bit. I'm not like Sam Neill's the greatest actor ever. I think
he's pretty good.
He's good, but he was never going to be able to play like a cool dude, if you know what I mean, quote unquote. Would he be in the movie though? Maybe he turns up. I don't know.
I hope not. Not after Jurassic Park 3 is one.
I didn't ever see... no, Jurassic Park 3 is the one where the raptor talks to him.
Alan.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible movie. Okay, one thing I do want to chat about, and you're not going to be interested in this, Lynch, but a lot of people...
Shall I go?
No, you can stay, but, a lot of people have been asking me about it, and, what better platform to use than this is that a lot of people asked me if I did do another podcast to talk about the WWE's recent pay-per-view called Fastlane. I'm sure you watched it, David. I know how much you like professional wrestling.
I saw the app come on the PS4.
What do you mean?
There's a WWE app or something, isn't it?
Oh, the app. Oh, I thought you said the outcome. Yeah, no, the WWE Network's amazing. Oh, we can talk about... You want to talk about the WWE Network?
I've not clicked on it.
You should... Have you ever watched wrestling?
Yeah, but when I was a kid, and I can't take it seriously.
What?
The thing is that you're just going to get angry at me. So there's no point us talking about it, because I think it's the most ridiculous thing ever.
It's no more ridiculous than a woman walking around a dark ship looking for made-up creatures. It's no worse than that. But no, my point being is that anyone that's interested in wrestling, I assume if you listen to this, you probably like me and you enjoy investigating pretty much professional wrestling behind the stage news on the internet. The biggest thing at the moment, Lynch, is a guy called Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the hand-picked sort of future star for WWE by one Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Wait, is this real or is this a story?
No, this is real. This is real. So behind the stage, Vince McMahon has decided that Roman Reigns is the boy. They want to push him hard and they want him to be the next world champ.
Right.
The problem is, there's another man called Daniel Bryan who all the fans would rather be champ. So a big combination of the Royal Rumble into Fastlane, which was the pay-per-view the following month, showed this kind of ascension of Roman Reigns. Like, he won the Royal Rumble, and as you know, Lynch, if you win the Royal Rumble, it means you guarantee your spot in the main event of WrestleMania. Or so they say. That barely ever happens anymore. But the problem is that nobody wanted Roman Reigns to win. They wanted Daniel Bryan to win. So after a big hoo-ha, they decided, right, we're having a match at Fastlane between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. The winner is going to WrestleMania to fight Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns won, which he was always going to do because, you know, the brass, as they say, does not like Daniel Bryan. And fans are now kind of split on the matter. Like, do we get behind Roman Reigns and see if he can win us over? Or do we well, there's a third one as well. You either voice your disapproval, or what seems to be happening now is people have become apathetic to it. They're like, I don't really, they're going to do this. I don't care. Maybe I'll watch, maybe I won't. My opinion on the whole thing is that I believe that the stubbornness of not listening to the fans and coming up with a plan and going forward it regardless is actually hurting the product. Because I'm using the words, Lynch. I'm calling wrestling a product and a business. You better respect it, man. Otherwise, Triple H will kick your ass. But I think that's the problem, is that if you're watching it and you're invested in a character, because it is a cast of characters, and the character that you're not necessarily invested in is, it's okay if that character is a bad guy. That guy's a heel. That's fine, because you're like, well, I want to hate this guy, and I'm glad you're giving me the, the outlet to do it. But when the good guy that everybody likes isn't in the top spot, and the guy that you don't want to like just yet is, but he's trying to be a good guy, it's like, well, this is a convoluted mess. Wrestling's at its best when it's simple. The good guy's the most popular, so we'll push him, and he will beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. The overwhelming thing I want to point out about all this is that I never want Brock Lesnar to lose. Do you know who Brock Lesnar is, Lynch?
No.
Well, he may do, because he has crossover appeal, because he went to UFC for a bit and he was.
Oh, is he wear that? He wear hats, doesn't he? Like
He wears hats.
Oh, but is that one of the ones he like puts caps on backwards?
No, that's John Cena.
See, you know who I'm freaking talking about, though, don't you?
If you knew Brock Lesnar, or anyone right now who watches WWE, when you describe Brock Lesnar as the man that wears hats,
I'm sorry,
you're rolling their eyes.
I don't know.
I know you don't. But my point being is that I do believe Roman Reigns will win at WrestleMania, and I do believe it's going to be a massive struggle for WWE to make that work. Because even if Brock Lesnar, because the rumor now is that Brock Lesnar's going to leave, and WWE thinks that's enough to get the fans against him. It's not, because the last time that happened was WrestleMania 20. It's over a decade ago. The industry has changed. The people have changed. No one really cares. I mean, some people care when Brock Lesnar comes and goes, but overall they don't. So they're not going to boo him. They don't want to see Roman Reigns as champ. They've all bought into Lesnar now, and I think it's probably going to be a bit of not a controversial WrestleMania, but certainly not go the way they plan. But Fastlane as a whole, I thought was a decent event. I thought Cena and Rusev was good. I liked the main event. I didn't like the outcome. Everything else was. I am in the minority. I know you agree with this as well, David. I didn't think the Sting Triple H thing was as good as other people thought. I thought they could have done it a lot better. I did enjoy it, just from a nostalgic point of view. But yeah, I didn't think that it was done. It just came across like without his bat, Sting would have got the crap kicked out of him by Triple H. And nobody. His bat, not his bat. He doesn't have animals. He has a baseball bat. Jeez, Lynch. So yeah, that's my take on it. I will get something up on my blog sooner or later when I actually have some damn time. And there is a small chance I'm going to start doing a weekly podcast about wrestling in the build-up to WrestleMania. A podcast, but...
Yeah, I might not join you for that one.
Well, no, I don't think I would invite you anyway, so screw you. The only other thing I did want to talk about, David, is the day we're recording this. I don't know whether you've seen... Have you seen what's making a comeback in 2015?
No, I'm excited now, though. What is it?
Oh, no, you shouldn't be.
Oh, right.
The rhythm action genre, David.
Oh,
Rock Band 4 is coming, and that's going to be announced soon as well. But for now, Rock Band 4 is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. And wouldn't you know it, Harmonix don't know if your old peripherals will work.
Oh,
isn't
no, wait,
that
really?
isn't that? How could they make money off of this? Well, the best thing we could do is probably just not let that stuff work. How can they not let that stuff work? It's USB. It was USB. You assholes. Like, it gets me so mad. Like, there is no way when have you ever plugged a USB into anything and it's gone, nah, it's too old? Like the USB, it doesn't happen. USB is USB. It makes for starters, the rhythm action thing does not need to come back. I know it's been 5 years. I know we have a next generation.
God, has it really been that long?
Yeah, and I know there's been a new generation of consoles, so you can argue the technology's better. There's more they can do.
Is there more they can do?
No, I don't think there is. And I think the fact that Activision are doing it this year as well, they're going to do the same fucking thing again. They're going to run it into the damn ground. That's what they're going to do. The only way this has any kind of leverage to me is if they had the Netflix model. You pay $5 a month, and that gives you access to all their. It gives you access to the what do you call it? The development program, whatever, the software.
Yeah.
And then you get access to.
Well, SingStar's gone that way, isn't it?
That's true. You don't pay a subscription fee, do you?
No, but you don't buy the game now. You just go online and you download SingStar onto PS4 and you just buy the songs you want.
That is good, but I mean, this should be. You still have to pay 50 quid or whatever. Because no one is going to be playing Rock Band 6 months after it comes out. It's going to do that thing again where it will peak and then it will die. Because they won't. If it's successful, there is no way they're not going to do what they did again last time. Because that's not how publishers work. They'll go, right, every year we make as much out of that as possible. You have to come up with something different this time. Like, and just what are they going to do? What are they going to do?
I don't know, but do you remember when you got the Metallica one on the cover of X360?
Oh man, this is great. They said it could never be done.
I know. How the hell?
People said, Simon Miller, you will never be able to get guitar. And people know, if you say to me, you can't do something, it's like, I'm about to dedicate 7 days of my life to this, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to prove you wrong. It's out there. If you type into Google right now, X360 guitar Metallica cover, you can probably find it. But
Metallica on the cover.
Not only did I get Metallica onto the cover of X360 magazine, it was a concept cover like the Black Album. That's right, Will.
How did you do it?
Hey, man, it's all about believing. All about believing. But apparently, they've released some information. You're going to get a Band in a Box bundle, which includes the Rock Band 4 game, a wireless Fender Stratocaster controller, a wireless drum kit controller, and a microphone. So we've been here before. This is nothing new. So it's not like they're going to change the way the distribution model at all. And I just think, I don't know. I'm flabbergasted that anybody. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it comes out and it will be, wonderful and people will be ready for it again. But I just see it as something that was run into the ground and that people think that enough time has gone.
Has it though? I'm wondering if people have a longer memory than what they're banking on.
What I mean is,
I'm not buying that shit.
But what I mean is, in their head, they're thinking What I mean is this: what I would respect them doing more is saying 5 years has gone by. What can we do to reinvigorate the genre? What they're actually doing is 5 years have gone by. I think it's been long enough and people have forgotten. Let's release the same shit again. And I loved Guitar Hero. I loved it. Guitar Hero 3, I played every night for about 6 months. I just get home from work and I would play Guitar Hero 3. I thought it was fun. I thought it was engaging. I loved the score attack system. I loved the fact that I had leaderboards because I could see what other people was doing. It was that dangling carrot and I wanted to get better at it. But then when that died, it died and it died hard. And all of a sudden you noticed that you went from playing it a lot to just, I'm done with this. And the fact that these people just think they can roll out the same idea again. And before anyone says, well, that's what all companies do, doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's right. And something like this, which is such a gimmick and so novel, it's just, if they could just have come up with something that was, we've evolved it, we've changed it, we've looked at the industry and made it work.
I think you're right. It seems odd in today's world where if we have free-to-play models, which people are terribly happy with, but they exist and they work to a large extent. I think having the same. I mean, how many plastic guitars are out there in the world right now? Well,
a lot, I imagine, and they're about to get a hell of a lot more.
Well, if you could plug the old one back in and just buy the game or download it, they'd probably make more money.
Maybe, but this is what I don't understand. I think you can carry across your old songs as well at no extra cost, which I guess is good. But it's not if you have to shell out 150 quid for all this. I mean, you can buy the guitar pack, which would be about 80 quid, I guess, or whatever. No, it'll be more now. It'll be 100 quid because the game is 60 quid nowadays.
Yeah, it will be more.
So it's just something that I saw and I just wondered who it was for. I guess that they think 5 years, a new generation has grown up. You're 10 years old then, now you're 15, you're getting into that kind of stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll buy it, but I don't know. I think that was a fad.
Maybe we're just too old, Miller.
Maybe. But to me, it seems like, where something like, Call of Duty, for example, comes out every year and it has peaks and troughs and stuff. because Our Hero felt much more of its time. It felt much more. It's had its day, and now we should probably move on and kind of forget. Much like the Wii as well. The Wii kind of did a similar thing. If Nintendo kind of said, "Hey, we're trying this again," it'd be like, "You did it. What are you doing? You either succeeded or you didn't succeed, depending on how you want to look at those 5 years." Yeah. And the fact that there's obviously some bollocks focused marketing group, because why else? Harmonix aren't in bed with Activision anymore, so why are they both releasing it in the same year? Because some asshole focus group went, "Yes, I think it's about time." make it the right make it the right time, because you've come up with an idea. Let the idea speak for itself. Anyway, that's what makes me mad, Lynch. I don't I just think it's done for the wrong reasons. And I just think I don't know why I care so much. I'm just not going to buy it. So it doesn't affect me at all. But I just I guess sometimes I roll my eyes at the game industry. That's all.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I mean about us being too old. We can just see the cynicism, because we've been here before. We were here 5 years ago.
Yeah, but I liked it 5 years ago.
We got excited then, and now we watched something that we generally quite enjoyed die, because it was great for a while. It rode that whole Wii wave of like, anyone can do this, and your gran or your girlfriends or whatever will join in, because they did, because
it's very sexist, Lynch. You're saying
I know that. I agree. That is sexist, but to a large extent, essentially what it did was get people who hadn't played games before playing games.
Yes,
and they did it. Like, it's a Trojan horse method. Essentially, it's like, here, have a guitar. It's not a real guitar. Don't worry, you don't have to play it, but click buttons. Yeah, and it works, and it's fun, and people had parties and stuff.
Sorry?
People had parties and they
did. Yeah, they did. They used to invite people around and they'd have their fake band.
Yeah, awesome, and that was brilliant. And then they killed it. So I understand the cynicism, and I think it's too soon, and I think people will be wary.
I think pricing is going to be the big thing. I don't see how you announce a bunch of peripherals and a game in this day and age for anything less than £150, and that means for double that price you can buy a console. I mean, that's just... it's madness. It's absolute madness. But anyway, that's happening. David, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up this comeback episode? Like I said, it's been a little bit free-form, a little bit just shouting things at each other and then talking about it. But like I said, when we land next week, it's already pretty much done. It's back to the old. We have a very, 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 very exciting topic next week. I'm pumped to talk about it. So
we had some impressive tangents there, but there was something I did want to mention, which is the thing I went to about a week ago now, called Games Wales South. Now, I've recently moved back to the South Wales area. As you can imagine, there's not a huge amount of game design stuff going on in Wales. Not. But there is this one thing, and it's called Games Wales South, and their Twitter is @Games Wales South. There is actually a North one as well, but as I'm in Cardiff,
screw those guys. It's all about
that's the one I went to.
Yeah.
And this is like it's like a monthly meetup for industry folk, and there's a lot of students here in Cardiff. So there's a lot of sort of mild indie dev scene, a lot of students studying game design and stuff like that. And these guys get together and they run sort of lectures, meetups, chance to meet and greet, and they're completely free to go along to, and anyone's kind of welcome. But it was just kind of the two talks I went to see. One of them was looking at proprietary software from the Armour guys, the military simulation. The one guy was talking about how they were using technology along those lines to create. Essentially, it was sort of like a policing software. So the police would have a setup of an event, like a citywide event, and they could see it all in real time, and they could track officers and track danger spots and all that kind of stuff. But they did it via a game engine, and that was kind of interesting talk.
Yeah.
But the second one was this guy who focuses on narrative game design, and he has worked on a bunch of games for like some of the Lego games and to write even narrative and stuff like that. But what he did was he took game design elements and put them in a real world scenario. And what happened was it was sort of like a haunted house experience over the course of a weekend.
Okay.
And everyone was given. It was bordering on. It was like one part LARPing, as in like live action role play, one part video game, and one part sort of theatre event. And it all mixed into this one thing. And they worked on guys for special effects and sort of weird holographic displays, and they used the Oculus Rift at some point. But these characters or these people spent the weekend in this house getting the shit scared out of them. But they used like puppets and stuff. But they also they used certain smells. They went to like a smell design place, and they sort of you would wake up in the middle of the night and you'd smell like the rotting corpses on a battlefield, and you'd look under your door at 3 a.m. in the morning and see the flickering of fire and shit like that. And they were like messing around with these people and doing all these weird things, and that was really, really fascinating.
That sounds pretty damn good, to be honest.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really, really good talk.
What did you get out of it? Other than, were you inspired? Do you feel like a passion to make games yourself?
Well, this is the thing. Like you and I don't know about you, but I got bugger all coding talent, and I can't draw worth a shit. But I do like stories, and I like characters, and I like writing. So that's kind of the aspect I'm looking at it from. But this was like a really good opportunity to get just like-minded people in the same space. I mean, one of the things like I've not been in the games industry now since 2 years. I mean, like other than talking to you and doing the odd few things, but like. You miss talking to people that are on the same wavelength as you. Yeah. It's like I talk to my girlfriend Megan, she'll just look at me like I'm like an idiot.
Yeah, well you are. It's the right way to look at you.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did forget that part.
So what's next for those guys? Do you know? Do you know what they're going to?
Next meetup is on the 25th of March, and that's in the Urban Tap House in Cardiff. So if anyone's actually around in Cardiff, give them a tweet and you can get yourself a ticket.
You may be able to meet Lynch as well. Think of that. Just look for the really short guy. And that's him. But that sounds pretty cool, really, because like you say, there are these kind of hot spots for game development and everyone else is kind of dead. So it's nice that people are trying to kind of build up a community.
Yeah, this is the thing. And in Wales, there's like a bunch of people who work freelance for different people, for like Media Molecule, and there's a few people dotted around, but they're not based in studios or anything. They're sort of like, they're just kind of out there. But the Games Wales South guys are talking about creating, Wales as a hub, because essentially the coding talent's here, because they're all out of, all these students are coming out of courses and stuff. They're here. There's no real reason why they need to bugger off to London. Well, I realise that's the epicenter of everything. But that's just London. That's just the way it works, isn't it?
You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Well, there you go, Lynch. Thank you very much.
That's all right, man.
All I want to say before I wrap up is, and we should play this actually, get Helldivers.
Oh, yeah, idea.
Get Helldivers. We will play the shit out of that game.
It's crossplay as well. I'm really into crossplay at the moment. I'm loving my Vita.
What are you playing on it?
Oh, well, basically all the free games that PSN has given me.
Oh, that's good. What do you get? I only play the PS4 ones. What PS Vita games have you got recently for free?
Oh, what was it? I'm going to get it out because I can't actually remember.
Oh my gosh, this is not good podcasting.
You buggered off for like 5 minutes a minute ago.
Yeah, but I'm going to cut that out.
You can cut this out then. So I've got, I know your personal favourite, which you can't get now because it came out last month, was that, what's it called? The
Rogue Legacy. Oh my gosh. 10 out of 10 that game. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
So I've got, that's pretty good, and quite enjoying the, Ollie Ollie 2.
I downloaded that for PS4 last night. I'll have an opinion on that for next week.
And the Swapper was last month as well. That's pretty good. Quite enjoying that. And Kick and Fennec, which is like a weird little platformer thing, sort of puzzler, and that's pretty good as well. It's got some good production values on it. It looks nice.
There you go. Well, I'm glad to hear it, my friend. Is there anything else you want to say before I wrap this motherfucker up?
More about aliens.
No, we'll do that. We'll do aliens properly down the line, but that day is not today. But like I said, that is the comeback. This is the return episode of the Be-Mpowered podcast. Do not worry. We will be back next Friday, and we will be going back to the original format. We have a topic we're going to talk about. We have a guest. It's all planned. It's going to happen. Obviously, Mr. David Lynch will continue to be a semi-regular guest because, hey, who else would we want to do it, right?
I don't know. You can't get anyone else, so just me.
That is a big problem, but still, however you managed to get here, David, you're here, you're at the top of the mountain, you're living the dream, you're believing, you're empowering yourself to levels you didn't even know were possible. This has been the Be-Mpowered podcast. Head over to iTunes, give us a review if you thought the show was good. Even if you didn't, let me know, I'll do what I can. Hit me up on YouTube, hit me up on Video Gamer, hit Lynch up at...
DAI_Lynch, Die Lynch.
At Die Lynch. You don't just shout that out and he appears in front of you. He's not like a hobbit. He's a bit like a hobbit, although hobbits don't do that anyway. Either way, that's where you can get him. Chuck him a line, chat to him. We'll be back in 1 week's time. Thank you for downloading this, and remember, always believe.